There are just fewer than 300 million people in the United States. 0.25% of those people are legally blind, many of which see nothing but darkness day in and day out. For centuries, our world has used sight as a tool for life. Stained glass windows were even used for teaching through pictures in the Middle Ages. But imagine for a moment if that tool were taken from you. Those who live without sight survive in an alternate world. There are those who just resign themselves to a world of darkness. And then there are those who rise above, not letting anything get in their way. Orange County, California, home to many water sport enthusiasts. John Chavez, a California native, has been a swimmer since he can remember. A head trauma 22 years ago left John blind.
In 1984, I was lifeguarding, actually right here in Huntington Beach. And while off duty, I was with some friends of mine, and one of them had a scooter and asked if I wanted to go for a ride down to Newport Beach, and I said sure. Into the evening, at some point, he got too close to the curb, and my ankle got caught between the curb and the scooter, and in essence broke it. And then pins had to be inserted in it to make sure that the bones and the tendons and such set properly. In conjunction with having it healing, I was planning a trip to the South Pacific with two of the lifeguards. I went to get the pins taken out, and a few minutes into the procedure, having the pins removing, my heart began to miss beats. And by this time, my heart began to go into arrest, and in essence became a full arrest, and began doing CPR at that point.
Doctors finally revived John, but the ordeal left him in a coma. John was unaware that though he survived the surgery, his sight had left him completely. The young man in his prime would never see again.
It was only till a period of time later in which my brain finally healed such that the conscious and the subconscious kind of clicked in, and I realized that I actually couldn't see. And was very traumatic at that point, and very, quite frankly, depressing to realize after 24 years of having perfect vision to now being legally blind.
From the lifeguard who could save to the blind man who could hardly move, John found it difficult to accept his permanent state. A decision had to be made.
Although painful and many, many tears were shed, the thought of laying in a hospital bed the rest of my life, which in my mind was a reality. I thought that's the way it was going to be, the rest of my life laying in a hospital bed. But one of the things that athletics teach you is that quitting is not an option. And I knew that the only way to move forward, to get out of the hospital bed, and no matter what was ahead of me, was to begin to start somewhere. And so the 9 months of rehabilitation began with just making that conscious decision to say, I can't have this kind of life. I don't know what the future holds, but I've got to do more than just lay here.
John realized that only he had the power to make a change, and change he did. He quickly found his way through rehabilitation. Years later, a more ambitious man than ever, John recalls a special quote that kept him going.
And it was these words: pain is the price. Anything that is cheap isn't good, and anything that's good isn't cheap. Pain is the price. And it was those words that focused me into doing something with my life. Making a decision to not to exist, but to live life, whatever it was going to be.
John's latest ambition? Competing with a team of blind rowers in the world's largest outrigger race. Out of 120 boats, John and his team will be the only blind participants, a first in the race's history.
The Queen Liliuokalani International Outrigger Race, which is the largest outrigger race in the world that usually encompasses about 120 boats. So my goal was to try to assemble a team of 4 other paddlers with myself to compete in this race. And initially I thought it would be easy. However, the blind community is not that large statistically it's about 4%. And if you divide that in half, half male, half female, that makes 2% of males. And then if you break it down even further, under 40, half over 40 years of age males, that makes it 1%. And then to find 5 members, 4 of them myself, who are in good health and because of other health conditions to compete in this race, it'd be less than 1% statistically. So the challenge was greater than I thought. Nonetheless, was able to assemble 4 guys and 5 to compete in this race. Obviously, we'll have a sighted steersman. Billy Whitford, who runs in this Newport Aquatic Center, who's competed in this race, will be our steersman. Excellent steersman, world-class steersman. I think the only time you fail is when you don't try. And we are trying, and we will achieve this. We will finish the race, one way or another, God willing. We'll cross the finishing line. But to not try is to say, I can't do that. And I think one of the things that people who are blind or disabled oftentimes struggle with is, how can I achieve something when I am now literally a different person because of a handicap or whatever? And my whole desire was to say, yes, you may have a disability, you may be blind, however, you still could set goals and achieve them. The other 119 boats will be sighted people. But this is unique. And I believe that it's to say that you, no matter who you are in life, there's something you can achieve in life, even if you have to do it a different way.
John and his team look forward to making history, but his ambition comes at a price. With many of his blind teammates out of work, the expenses add up quickly.
The cost of this endeavor is it's costly. Number one, the training here at Newport Aquatic Center. Number two, the lodging there in Kona, Hawaii. And number three, the airfare. A minor cost would also be the cost of a vehicle. Since my teammates are all blind, we don't drive, hence it'd be paramount that we have a driver, obviously. So those costs and such add up anywhere from 18 to 25,000, just the cost of lodging and such. At least that's my preliminary figures, because we'll need paddles and such to purchase and uniforms and such, but that's why we need help, to help offset those costs.